Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. And in this video I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Vintage Collection IG-12 Grogu and Anzellan from Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Now I'm sure you're all aware this is a deluxe style figure in the Vintage Collection, which means it's on one of these oversized cards, very similar to the Cobb Vanth figure that we got, and also the upcoming Hammerhead and the Imperial Armored Commando. We'll take a look at the card back in a second, but this is IG-12 with Grogu and an Anzellan from their appearance in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. As we know, IG-11 was destroyed and they used the parts to build IG-12, and the little Anzellan, which is the first time we've had that creature in the Vintage Collection, or the Grogu, are able to sort of drive him around. They're able to fit in his torso there. I do remember getting a question about this figure a year or so ago. You know, somebody asked me, do I think that Hasbro will release this figure? And I kind of said yes, they would. And it would be interesting to see how they accomplish that torso and where Grogu sits inside. You know, because they're either going to have to make the torso much bigger for the current Grogus that we have, or change up the size of Grogu. And it's the latter that they've done. This little Grogu in here is actually a little bit smaller than all of the other Grogus that we have. And we'll do a little comparison of that in this video as well. And we'll also compare the IG-12 to the IG-11 to see which parts they've shared across the figures. So if you do happen to enjoy the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you're new, and let's take a look at that card back. All right, so I managed to pick this up from Amazon in the US, and you can see they didn't deliver it mint. It's got a nasty crease across there, but it's fine because I'm not going to be keeping this one carded. But if you're a carded collector, then you might want to watch out for that. But there's IG-12 with Grogu driving him on the card back. It's a pretty cool image there. Now, I'm not really going to be keeping one of these carded anyway, because I don't really like the larger style cards. But I'm definitely going to be opening this one, of course, for the review. And, you know, he's going to go nicely in the collection. He does have a VC number. He's VC358 in the line. And there you can see the Anzellan driving him around in that image there. And there's the card back once again. Vintage Collection logo on the back. So pretty cool image there. It looks to be straight from the show, when I think he's like testing him out. Basically, he's getting used to the controls of IG-12, their little Grogu inside. So with all that being said, let's take the bubble off of the card and check out the figure. All right then, so here is IG-12 out of the packaging, and for the time being I've got the Anzellan inside the torso there, holding onto those little joysticks, which he does pretty well. He does have articulated arms at the shoulders, but that is it. And we will take a closer up look at that little tiny figure in a minute. You've also got Grogu there just standing at his feet. Now, in terms of what's new about this figure, it's pretty much just the torso, really. The head, arms, and legs are all reused from the original IG-11 figure, which I'll bring in a second, just so you can see a quick comparison. What I would say about this, apart from the fact that it is lacking a bit of paint applications, which we knew when this thing was first revealed. I've got to say, the torso piece, this little piece here, which is removable, by the way, that's how you can, you know, get Grogu and the Anzellan into the body of IG-12, you know, quite easily, is a lot more detailed than the press photos made it look. To me, the press photos made it look really sort of like soft plastic, where there was like hardly any detail at all. But we'll take a closer up look at the figure and you'll see that, you know, some of the details are quite defined. I just felt that the images in the press photos looked a bit, I don't know, flat and soft, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. You can see some of the detail, but of course it could do with some paint. It could do with a little bit of a wash, just to bring out some of that detail on the figure. You know, he just does look a little bit plain, basically. But what we'll do now is we'll just bring in IG-11 so you can have a quick comparison. And there we go. There's IG-12 standing next to IG-11. You can pretty much see that the torso is the only real difference, apart from the paint applications. The IG-11 has a lot more sort of bronze paint applications going on, especially on the top of the legs. This one has more of like a cream look, like a beige look. But I do believe that that is kind of screen accurate. I just feel it just lacks a little bit of wash, basically. For a deluxe figure, it really should have a bit more paint applications. And also, I feel that they maybe could have included 2 of the little Anzellans. I don't think it would have really killed them to do that. But there's a comparison anyway of them just standing next to each other. You know, the articulation, everything's exactly the same, which we'll get into in a second. But now I want to go through the details of the IG-12 and how you can put the figures in. And we'll also take a close-up look at the 2 minifigures as well. So before we take a look at the IG-12 in a little bit more detail, I thought I'd just do a quick comparison of the Grogu for you. And then also when we're looking at IG-12, we can actually put the new Grogu inside IG-12 and have him driving him about. So on the left-hand side, this is the first Grogu that we got in terms of the sculpt. I mean, we got many that had like different heads and different expressions and things like that. Essentially, you can move his arms and his head with that one. We also got this one here. Now, this one was included in the rescue set, but I do believe that you could also get this one without the handcuffs some other way, maybe from the Incinerator Trooper Deluxe pack possibly, or maybe the Ahsoka pack. I can't really remember, but he is a little bit more sort of like scooched down in his little overalls there, or his little blanket or whatever he's wearing. And then this one, you can see they've actually, you know, scaled him down a fair bit. The head is a lot smaller. You can see his little body is a lot smaller. And what they've done is they've made him quite sort of thin as well. So if we look at that one, for example, you can really see how much that they've changed and adapted this new Grogu so that he's able to fit in to the IG-12. And really, that's kind of the only way that they could accomplish that. Otherwise, they're going to make that torso piece too big and it'll ruin the aesthetics of the figure. So they've had to scale down, a bit like they did with the head of Chopper on the Phantom 2 in, you know, the Ghost HasLab. All right, so now we'll take a look at the Anzellan, and I've just got him in a little pair of pliers here because he is so small. It's very difficult to hold him on the camera, but we can just sort of turn him around just so you can see some of the details there. Tiny weeny figure, but you know, considering how small this piece of plastic is, the paint applications on it are actually really good and the sculpt's really good as well. And his arms do move up and down. But yeah, for a tiny weeny little figure, look, lots of detail on there. But yeah, as I said, would it have killed them to give us 2 of these in the deluxe pack? I think they could have stretched that far personally, but you know, the one that we've got looks pretty cool. And as you've seen, he fits perfectly in the torso of IG-12. All right, and here is IG-12. So we can take a closer up look at him. Let's just bring him in a bit closer into the camera so you can see some of that detail. He has the same articulation as IG-11, and you really do need to be very, very careful with the elbows. Once again, very similar to IG-11. They are pretty difficult to move, and I would imagine very easy to snap on that tiny piece of plastic. But the head has 3 points of articulation, so it spins the top, the middle piece spins as well, and also the bottom piece there, which is pretty cool. We have the shoulders, which are on that ball there. They go all the way round. We have the elbows that I've just shown you. Wrists spin. Torso doesn't do anything in terms of articulation apart from the front piece comes off. It's just held on by 2 tiny pegs there. We'll just put that piece down for the time being. The legs are on little ball hinges there. And of course we have the knee joints and we have the hinge on the foot as well. All right, so now we'll get Grogu controlling IG-12. So what you need to do is just lift up his arms ever so slightly and then put his ear in first, one side, and then his other ear will fit in as well. Just make sure his arms are up like so, because then obviously when you put the front panel on via those pegs, like so, and you can get him holding onto those little joysticks there. So it looks like he's controlling him. No, 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 no. It was a pretty comedic part of the Mandalorian Season 3. I know a few people weren't too keen on like having a mech in a Star Wars show, but you know, I thought it was pretty cool. And now we have it in action figure form. You also get this black blaster included, which is just a plain piece of black plastic, which is different to the original version we got with IG-11, which actually has some paint applications on it to bring out some of that gunmetal grey, you know, just some of the details. A bit of a shame, really. But then again, I don't seem to remember him using this blaster as IG-12 in the show. They've just given it you because obviously it came with IG-11. But correct me if I'm wrong, pretty sure he doesn't use that in the show. And then just quickly to complete the scene, I've brought the Mandalorian with the Imperial Armored Commandos jetpack. Of course, with that release, we didn't get the correct blasters. We are getting that blaster with the actual Imperial Armored Commando though, so that's one thing I guess. But there you go, there's IG-12 with the Mandalorian with the jetpack, so you can recreate the scenes from season 3. But there's my review of IG-12 with Grogu and the Anzellan. Overall, it's a pretty good figure, but essentially I don't really think it's deluxe necessarily. It's certainly not got the paint applications that a deluxe figure should have. I do really like the Anzellan. I do feel that they could have put 2 in there for us. When you look at that figure close up, considering how small it is, it's a really nice piece, that one. Really great sculpt, and the paintwork's great. The rest of the figure's just okay for me. A little bit plain, but it kind of does a job. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hit the like button. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. As always, your support is greatly appreciated, so thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.